statute doesn't. Statute.
Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well. And shalom to you sincere, hopeful, elect brothers and sisters listening and learning. And to you brothers preaching and teaching this truth through the four corners of the earth. This is Brother Nathan coming out of the GMS Indianapolis camp. Come back with a quick clip. One of the brothers here in Indianapolis sent this to me, so check it out. And it just shows you the hypocrisy of Esau, even the so-called white man, and that he is clearly the devil that the Bible speaks of, you know, and he's proud, you know. He's a proud dude, man, and that's why the most prideful is gonna fall, man. All right, because he thinks he can, he's ruling the earth, you know, with the iron fist, you know, as he's known as what? The hammer of the whole earth. All right. And statements like this is what is sending, you know, these other nations, you know, getting upset and showing that he is the devil, man. So I'm going to play this and then we'll get a couple precepts and we'll close this out. The caption says, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham says, quotes, the International Criminal Court does not apply to Israel or the United States because it was not designed to apply to us.
It doesn't apply to Israel or the United States or France or Germany or Great Britain because it wasn't conceived to come after us. The statute doesn't apply to Israel or the United States or France or Germany or Great Britain because it wasn't conceived to come after us.
Right, it wasn't designed to jack up the Edomites. It was designed to screw you other nations over. All right, that's his sole purpose. All right, to rule over you guys and write unrighteous decrees, right, and tell you this is what it's gonna be, while they don't have to follow it. So you got to. So-called international court system, criminal court, right? That doesn't apply. Just like the courts in America, you know, they don't apply to the rich elite of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. So you're just seeing the hypocrisy, man, and that's why these other nations are getting tired of it, man. All right, and that's why this man has to be taken down. So let's start it off. This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, woe, which means destruction, unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Right. So, matter of fact, I want to read that in let's get that in NLT real quick. It says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. Right, so they hold all these other countries, all these other nations to certain standards. Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. You got to use the petrodollar. You got to do this, you got to do that. Oh, that's a crime against the world. Blah blah blah. But like people like you know, China, you know, Moab and Ammon, Japan, you know, Ishmael in the Middle East, and you know, Elam in India, you know, and so forth, right? You know, when they call out the crimes that Esau, even the so-called white man, causes on this earth, especially those tiny tops, right? You know, Amalek, the chief house of Esau, they're showing you right now, hey, we don't have to abide by that. You know, Esau runs off the do as I say, not as I do. You know, complete hypocrite, man. That's why the Lord said, woe to them. It says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. And you know, ultimately right here, you know, talking about, you know, us, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, those of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, right? We're the ones that are under these curses. All right, and Esau, Edom, you know, uses his court systems to destroy us, man. But also he pushes off on these other nations, man. Verse 3, and what will you do in the day of visitation, and in the desolation which shall come from far. To whom will ye flee for help, and where will ye leave your glory? Right, because Esau, even so-called white man, is going to be totally destroyed. You know? Let's get this real quick. This is Psalms chapter 10 and verse 2. It says, the wicked in his pride, right, doth persecute the poor. Ultimately, what? The poor of our people. We're the real poor. All right, the Israelites. All right, but we're rich in faith. But also, what, of these other nations, man? Because they're underneath Esau. It says, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. All right, see, they're going to be condemned by Yahweh Shemel Shai and his law, statute, commandments. All right, they're going to be held to that. All right. And it says, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covenant whom the Yahweh Shemel Shai abhorreth. Verse 4, here's the point. This is the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. It says his ways are always grievous. Right. Because he's doing all these unrighteous decrees, leaving everybody held to a standard that they're not even trying to uphold. You know? It says, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he's puffeth at them. Right. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? That's how he's doing it. So he's like, you're gonna abide by my rules, the hammer of the whole earth. Like I said, do as I say, not as I do. All right. So, you know, it's unfair, right? It's not just. All right. That's why the wrong of judgment proceeded, because this is an unjust rulership, man. And that's why the Lord's going to ultimately do this, you know. And I'm just pulled up the camp. I didn't want to make this too long. Just a quick hitter. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another, right? And that's unrighteous dealings, holding the world to a certain standard in a court of law that you don't have to follow. All right? That's why it says the joy of a hypocrite is what? Job 20 and 5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. All right, because Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to dissolve this wicked ass nation, man. Because what? Wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and the hurtful works are fulfilled. Because in Job 9:24, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. Who are the wicked? Malachi 1 and 4 talks about Esau Edom is the border of wickedness. All right? So that's the deal. That's what's going down. Okay? Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is freaking wicked, man. He was set up to be the wicked. And guess what? As he was set up to rule in wickedness, he's also been set up to be destroyed. And that Yahweh Shemel Shai will be exalted in that day, man. So with that, I pray that it was edifying to the elect. And I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, HaKakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, the great millstone who were well.